Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are back with another episode of Chi-Town Sports. I'm joined with Rocco Sucks, a.k.a. Benjamin Newliner. Ben, welcome.
Hey, Brad. What's up?
Today, of course, the big news is about college football. Ben and I's favorite sport, or I guess niche of a sport. Everyone loves football, but college football for Ben and I hits home. The Big Ten and Pac-12, as of the time we were recording this, have canceled their fall football season. ACC, SEC, Big 12 are still going to have a season. Of course, it's for now. AAC included, but we'll see if that really happens. Something I really want to talk about, though, is the players and what they're saying. Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Ian Book, they're all saying they want to play this season. And Donald Trump minutes ago saying there should be a college football season. I don't want to get into politics here, but Donald Trump, in my opinion, said the right thing. Let's talk about what these big name players have said, though. Starting off with Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence, about 18 hours ago, said players being safe and taking all the right precautions to avoid contracting COVID is on the line. Without this season, as we've already seen, people will not take social distancing or wear masks. Not to mention the players coming from situations that are not good for them, a.k.a. the slums, which a Florida cornerback pointed out in his main argument for all these poor kids. Without football, without living on campus, they're just going back to the hood and going to get in trouble, which is an amazing argument. I really commended him on that. I was all over that tweet. But football is a safe haven for so many people, fans included. He didn't say that, but we're more likely to get the virus in everyday life than playing football. Having a season also incentivizes people as just as much, if not more risk. If we don't play, players will be all sent home to their communities where social distancing is highly unlikely, medical care and expenses will be placed on the families if they were to contract COVID. Very smart, very good argument from Trevor Lawrence. Justin Fields did not say as much, but he did say there's been too much work to put in. We want to play. And then a few hours before that, he posted a picture of him on the Ohio State practice field, just throwing a pass. And Trevor Lawrence also included a few pictures of him practicing, just saying, like, this is my home. I love to do this, so on and so forth. Ben, I want to get your take on what these players are saying. And do you think there should be a college football season this fall?
Well, I think that the players, obviously, there's going to be split among the players. Some guys might be concerned about safety. They might be concerned about exposing family members to the virus. But I also agree they've been taking measures. Jim Harbaugh released a statement advocating for the season to go on. He says that at Michigan, the last 353 tests have had 0 positives.
Same with Notre Dame.
Which means they're doing a good job, and I think that's probably happening at most major football teams.
I want to say something about that, though, Ben. Is that really true? Because the Big Ten has 14 teams, of course. 12 teams said there should not be a college football season this fall.
I know.
2 teams said there should. Those 2 teams,
Nebraska
Michigan was not one of them, Nebraska and Iowa. So Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, the 3 biggest teams. I won't say best because Michigan sucks, but Penn State and Ohio State are good. But the 3 biggest brands, at least, voted for no college football this fall. So I don't.
They're concerned about.
Hey, take that with a grain of salt because the Michigan AD and the top level of Michigan's athletic department didn't want a season.
Neither did most big teams.
Notre Dame, they're still having their season. Independent, not said a word.
The Independent.
I mean, they're in the ACC, but the ACC isn't canceled yet.
The ACC is split right now, and I think there was an athletic director from the ACC that said it was unlikely that a season would happen in the fall.
Yeah, I don't think it'll happen. I think it should happen. I think no, they have to have it in spring. I think there'll be a bubble for college basketball, like I've been saying all along, and I think. This is going to be kind of sick because usually you go end of college football, you go into conference play in college basketball, but this year it's going to be March Madness ends in mid-March, early March, and then you go into
Football season.
The heat of football season will be going on, but it'll be into the heat of football season. Because college basketball isn't just a Saturday sport. College football is. I mean, I'd be thrilled. I'd be thrilled to see basketball and football for a year. That'd be interesting.
It's looking like that's gonna happen.
Because it's not like COVID's gonna be gone by April. I mean, COVID's still gonna probably be here until next summer. I mean, it could be here forever, but.
Can you put players in bubbles? Will they be able to study?
Yes. Because all these kids are gonna be e-learning anyways. They have the option to e-learn. They have whatever. Of course, the players are on campus right now, practicing and whatnot. But yeah, they're e-learning. They can e-learn. Like I said, Providence, Rhode Island have the Big East there. Ann Arbor, Michigan have the Big Ten there. ACC have them in Clemson, South Carolina. Have them in those smaller towns. SEC have them in Tuscaloosa. I don't know, wherever. You know? Pac-12 have them in Tucson, Arizona. Stuff like that. So I want to now move on to the likelihood, yes, of having spring college football. Monza commented, I doubt that March Madness need a place for 64 teams to play. Great argument. I say we talk about that, Ben. I say we talk about Monza's comment of having 64 teams to play in a March Madness. Monza, I personally believe there will still be at least 32 teams in a March Madness. I think 64 might not happen, but I will say this.
I'll say something after.
If college basketball has 15 guys on a team, 10 staff members, that's including everything. So maybe 30. Call it 30 people tops in an environment. If you get tested every other day, it's not a football team. On a college football team, there are 80 players with like 30, 40, 50 staff members. Like that, college football is a lot there. That's 120 at least for football. For basketball, it's 25 to 30. I think they could pull off basketball. Sure, it might be a little bit risky, but I'll say this. If you have these kids in bubbles the whole time, you can definitely do that. Now, I don't know if the smaller conferences will be able to have their players in. I don't know if the smaller conferences will be able to have a season. Like you look at the MAC, they canceled before the Big Ten. They canceled before the Pac-12. They canceled, I think, 2 days ago. So, I mean, because they couldn't afford it. They just said financially it doesn't make sense. And I think for basketball, that might be the case. You might not see the Mountain West this year in March Madness. You might not see the Horizon this year in March Madness. It just might not happen.
That's too bad, too, because that's where you see the fun stories.
Yeah, exactly.
Loyola, Chicago, Butler, all those teams coming out of nowhere. I think there can be a 64-team tournament if teams want there to be, if conferences are willing to put in measures that prevent COVID from spreading among teams, like having players quarantined or something like that. Because obviously, what?
Yeah. Big news. Ohio State wide receiver coach Brian Hartline, in 30 minutes of having his tweet up for a wide receiver coach, 3.2K likes and nearly 1,000 retweets. Our player, this is big because think about it, he's just a wide receiver coach. Our players deserve the opportunity to choose whether they play or don't play. We will play anyone, anywhere. We don't care who it is. That's coming from an Ohio State coach.
They're not going to be able to do that.
We want a season. Well, so there have been arguments saying we're going off track. We'll put college basketball aside. This was supposed to be a college football heavy podcast. Thank you for the comment, though, Monster. Those teams could join another conference. I will say this. I think they were a little too soon to call it off. I don't know what the numbers in the Pac-12 were. The Pac-12 might have been heavy towards no, or it could have been like, I don't know how many teams are in the Pac-12. I think it's 12. I think it could have been 7-5. But then I don't – if the ACC's 7-7, I know the ACC has 17 teams, 15 with Notre Dame. Or no, 14 with Notre Dame? I think they're – I don't know. They're all different. It's confusing. But I think these conferences are too soon to call it off. Of course, training camp is starting soon, which I understand. But regardless, I think they were too soon to call it off.
I'm just saying, without having a bubble, though, for training camp and all that, these kids are still living their lives. I wouldn't be shocked to see more outbreaks happen. And I don't know how they're going to, weather those storms because it's not like professionals. These kids aren't getting paid for this. If there's an outbreak, I wouldn't be shocked
They're
if
putting their
kids
life at
decide,
risk.
why am I doing this? Like, why am I risking like my family members to play in a game where
But
I'm
they
not
don't
getting
see. But
paid?
they don't see their family members. They don't see their family members. They're living on campus.
I mean, they live on campus, but kids always go home. Kids, that's not.
Yeah,
They
but
still
maybe
will
not this
feed.
year. Maybe not this year.
That's not really.
I
Is
get
that
what you're
fair?
saying, though. I totally
Is
get what
that
you're
fair for
saying.
them?
And I think it does, I think they do deserve to get paid, especially in a year like this. I know there were Pac-12 Washington State players that were boycotting the season because they think they deserve to get paid. They got booted off the team in days. I don't know if you heard about that, Ben, but there was
I
a
did.
group of Washington State players that took to social media, took to their coaches, and took the athletic department saying, we deserve to get paid, which I think they do. But sadly enough, just like that, released from the team, their college football year over, probably going to head the JUCO route, which definitely sucks. Ben, have you watched Last Chance U Season 5 yet?
I have not.
Okay, that's something maybe we should watch.
I
know we watched it a few years ago, but I like to watch it with you. I like to watch these shows with people. Ben and I watched Season 3 together. The star of that year was Rakeem
Boyd, Arkansas running
from
back.
Arkansas. I also you want to talk about the Arkansas schedule? I mean, we're talking about so many different things right now. But
Arkansas kind of not a great football team at the moment.
Yeah, and their schedule hardest ever. So going into the season, they had the hardest FCS schedule already. And they added on just 2 more SEC dogs. I mean, sheesh, I would hate to be an Arkansas Razorback right now.
They don't even have an easy game. It goes Mississippi State, Texas A&M, Alabama, LSU, Tennessee, Auburn. Ole Miss might be their game, I guess. I don't know.
Or Mizzou. I think Mississippi State's decent. Ole Miss is decent. I think they're going to win in Missouri.
They could go 0-10.
But think about this. This is literally Texas A&M, Alabama, LSU, Tennessee, and Auburn. Tennessee's good this year. I don't know if you know that. They're very good this year. But that's just insane. Are you kidding me?
Texas A&M never is as good as people think. I'm just going to say that.
I agree, but Texas A&M is the type of team that blows these teams out and gets back in the top 25 and then gets blown out by an LSU
or Alabama.
Goes back down. So I get what you're saying, but in this scenario, Ben, before we leave here, we have a shorter episode. We went through our topics quite quickly. Addressed a lot of things in this episode. What do you think about my name today? It's Ryan Day, 100 points. Of course, I think the viewers also know, so it's a pretty big story. Ryan Day and Jim Harbaugh were butting heads on a Big Ten conference call about a week ago, and Ryan Day said, we'll put 100 points on your head when we play this season. Will they play this season? I don't know. But 100 points, Ben, what do you think about that? And do you think Ohio State will beat Michigan this year?
Well, I'm just going to set the context for any viewers who don't know. Jim Harbaugh was trying to point out on a conference call with Big Ten coaches that Ohio State's facility, they were not adhering to COVID-19 guidelines. They were doing things without social distancing, without masks. He was trying to point that out. Ryan Day got a little salty. And I get that because what Jim Harbaugh was doing was a little bit petty. But Ryan Day decided to go after Michigan. Ohio State's a much better team than Michigan, obviously. Justin Fields wants to play. I mean, if the Big Ten switches things up, if they decide maybe we'll have a season, or in the spring, I guess, if we have a season in the spring, I could see Ohio State winning a game like 63-35. Like,
against
it's not out of the question.
I mean, they did it last year. Michigan had a lot better of a team last year.
Yeah, Michigan's not going to have a great team this year.
That number 1 quarterback in the country, Shea, coming from IMG Academy. Look how that turned out. Dude is unemployed right now.
5-star quarterback coming in next year. We'll be back. But this is going to be a down year.
You think J.J. McCarthy's the answer, Ben?
I think J.J. McCarthy's not the answer, but I think he's definitely a step up from quarterbacks we've had in the past. And I think quarterback's been our weakness for most of Jim Harbaugh's time at Michigan. It's been our main weakness. If we had a better quarterback, we'd probably have made 2 college football playoffs, in my opinion.
Dave Patterson, coming out of high school, for you guys that don't know, was the number 4 player in the country coming out of IMG Academy, of course, in Bradenton, Florida.
He was good. He just
He
wasn't
was
great.
insane. I
He
mean,
was
he
good.
didn't grow. He didn't really put on much more muscle. He was a 99.82. That's so good. That's
His accuracy, yeah, his accuracy was
great
great.
player all time. And I mean, we all know what happened in high school. We all know what happened in college.
I don't think he was a bust. Being a top quarterback for a top 10 team at its peak, that's still not bad. I wouldn't
Top
say
quarterback. I want to call him a top quarterback.
I wouldn't say top, but he was a top 5 quarterback in the Big Ten.
But you know who the top ranked player of all time is? Jadeveon Clowney. There have only been 5. Oh, Jadeveon Clowney lived up to that hype, in my opinion. If you're a Pro Bowler, you live up to your 5. I mean, you live up to your top 5 player in the country per class. But I want to touch on this for a second. There have only been 5 1.0000 ranked players, which is maximum. You can't get higher than that. Jadeveon Clowney, Robert Nkemdiche, of course, the Ole Miss. He got paid a lot of money. That's why he went to Ole Miss. Rashawn Gary, the Michigan D tackle.
Rashawn
He's
Gary.
now on the
Packers.
Vince Young, the Texas stud. I
Ooh,
remember.
Vince Young, NFL bust.
Yeah. And then, wait for it, Ernie Sims.
Really?
Linebacker. He played a few years in the NFL.
Florida State, right?
Yeah, Florida State.
Geez.
I'm trying to see what round. Oh, he was a first rounder. He was a 9th overall pick. I guess he lived up to it then. He was a top 10 pick, but
he was a stud. I've heard of him, which is kind of.
And then there have been some 999s, 998s. Trevor Lawrence is the 7th overall prospect of all time. Justin Fields, the 9th. Holy moly!
Why is all these recent players so what is up with that? That's a little recency bias, I think.
You think? I don't know. I mean, this year, Corey Foreman is number 1 recruit. He's ranked at 15.
15th? That's pretty good.
I see some old guys I'm not saying. Daquan Bowers, I used to think that he was such a beast. I just like his name. Adrian Peterson, Terrell Pryor, Joyo Green Beckham, oh yeah. Leonard Fournette.
Leonard Fournette was so good.
Myles Garrett. Dexter Lawrence, Jabril Peppers, Julio. Ted Ginn.
Where's Ed Oliver?
That
guy was a stud.
Jimmy Clausen. Jeez, Jimmy Clausen.
Jimmy Clausen?
Jalen Smith. That's Notre Dame's highest or second highest? No, second highest.
I can't believe Jimmy Clausen's on this list.
No, Jimmy Clausen was a beast. I mean, sure, he didn't have an amazing college, but I mean, number 2 recruit in his class. I love recruiting. I love college football so much. Ben, there's nothing better than on a Saturday morning, eating some good breakfast, sitting down on your couch and watching Desmond Coward just talk all about Michigan and the other 3 dudes just spit some facts and enlighten your morning. There's nothing better than that. Yes, I call him Desmond Coward. I think he's completely stupid and he overhypes Michigan. He picks Michigan to win against Ohio State every single year. And he darn well knows they're not going to win. You're not gonna speak?
You're lagging, I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, well, Desmond Coward.
But I heard what you said. Desmond Howard is a Michigan icon. I wouldn't make fun of it.
He's a heck of a player.
Michigan could use someone like him. I'll say that. I think any team could use someone like him.
Jabril Peppers was supposed to be the next Desmond Howard.
He was pretty good.
Pretty good, but
pretty darn good.
That good. Boys, Ben, I think that's going to end the episode. A pretty solid episode, short, but we got a lot of stuff in. Talked about college basketball, college football recruiting.
We had a viewer, I guess.
A viewer, Monsta, joined the show. I think we're going to try to start a schedule. Ben, I don't know if we've talked about that so much, but I think it's something we need to do. We're about 25 episodes in. You've been going hard since April. We'll probably continue to go hard.
School starting soon. We'll see how
that shouldn't be that. It's e-learning. Shouldn't be that hard of an issue. We should be putting up some content. We'll keep you guys posted. Thank you for watching another episode of the Chi-Town Sports Podcast. See you later. Peace.
Thank you, guys.